The show begins with a school that's anything but ordinary. It's divided into two distinct sections. One is for the nerd students, those who dedicate their entire lives to studying and consistently rank top of the class every year. The other section is for the so-called failures, students who don't care much about education but excel in sports and always win competitions. Now, dear viewer, I don't know which type you are, but we meet one of those failures named Leo, a handsome guy, yet academically weak. His whole life revolves around sports and competitions. Still, every teacher respects him, and no one dares talk back to him because he always takes first place in athletic championships. From the other side, we meet a nerdy girl named Yoon, who is also the most beautiful girl in the school. All the boys like her, but she pays no attention to any of them. She's always focused on studying, so they call her the robot. Yoon is the head of the nerd class, and the only one allowed to enter the failure section to collect their textbooks after they're done using them. One day she goes to gather the books, but notices 4 are missing. Turns out they belong to Leo and his mischievous gang who don't follow rules. But Yoon, using her intelligence, loudly announces that she has collected all the books, just to expose them. Her plan works. One of the boys rushes to the hiding spot to check on the books. Unbeknownst to him, Yoon is watching. She finds the place and goes to retrieve the books. The boy gets angry and tries to trip her. She almost falls, but just in time, our hero Leo catches her. Their eyes meet, but Leo accidentally steps on the microphone button. Everyone hears it. Yoon, flustered by the situation, slaps him, scolds him, and storms off. The whole school hears the argument. Leo feels humiliated in front of the students and gathers his friends to plan revenge. His friends remind him that tomorrow is the school's sports day, a mandatory event that affects students' grades. Leo sees it as the perfect opportunity to get back at the nerds and restore their pride. The next day arrives. The nerds show up wearing stylish athletic gear, looking sharp. In contrast, Leo and his gang arrive in mismatched clothes, not caring about appearances, but confident in their abilities. They start winning easily and pretend to be friendly by asking the coach to let them train with the nerds. That's when the nerds make their biggest mistake. During the joint training, Leo's gang starts bullying them, tripping them, throwing them to the ground, and wiping the floor with them, both figuratively and literally. They mock and belittle them, calling them weaklings. Enraged, the nerds challenge them to a proper match to prove they're not to be underestimated. Even though Yoon is a girl, she insists on joining the challenge. The teams are formed, and the whole school gathers, excited to see who'll win. The match begins. Leo and his friends show off their professional athletic skills, dodging every ball thrown their way. But the nerds know, we may lack power, but we have brains, and they start avoiding the ball using strategy. Frustrated, Leo's team decides to cheat. They pour water on the field, causing the nerds to slip and fall. Leo confronts them. It's against the rules. The game turns into an all-out brawl. Everyone starts fighting. Chaos erupts. To make matters worse, the school principal is meeting the governor at that exact time. They're bragging about how respectful and united the students are, like brothers and sisters. Suddenly, the principal returns to find the students practically breaking each other's bones. He furiously stops the fight and drags everyone to his office, scolding them harshly. He punishes them by deducting marks and warns that anyone who repeats this behavior will be expelled. The next morning, we see Leo waking up. His entire family is athletic, which explains his sports talent. He gets dressed and heads to school. On his way, he runs into the nerd student. Turns out they're neighbors, but they can't stand each other. They argue about yesterday's events and almost start fighting again until Leo's mom steps outside. To avoid trouble, they fake a friendly act, laughing, hugging, pretending they're close like brothers. Meanwhile, Yoon also has a younger brother. Ironically, he belongs to the failure group. One morning, while she's asleep, he tries to steal her study notes. But Yoon was expecting it. She had set a trap. She catches him red-handed and says, "We're siblings, yes, but work is work." She takes back her notes and gives him a whack on the head. Later, as all the students leave for school, we learn they all live in the same neighborhood, like a community called Mazarita. But despite being neighbors, they all can't stand each other. Each class wants to beat the other. When they reach school, they're hit with shocking news. Their teacher tells them that due to the rising conflicts, the school has decided to merge both classes to build love and unity among them. Everyone is stunned. Even the nerds are against it, seeing the failures as beneath them. Yoon protests, but the teacher says it's the principal's decision. Neither she nor Yoon can oppose it. On the other side, Leo and his gang are also unhappy. They hate studying. Instead of getting along with the nerds, they begin playing pranks. In one prank, they put mini firecrackers in the nerds' juice. When the nerds open the bottle, boom! It explodes in their faces. Furious, the nerds decide to get revenge. They catch Leo and his friends while showering, steal their clothes, and run off. When the boys come out of the bathroom, happy and refreshed, they're shocked to find their clothes gone. They chase the pranksters across the schoolyard, with everyone laughing at their misfortune. Once again, the principal catches them and warns them, "One more incident and you'll regret it." The students act innocent. "Sir, us? Trouble? Never. We promise it won't happen again." But they start plotting another revenge plan. They decide to glue the nerd student's chair so that when he sits down, he won't be able to get up. However, they send a dumb classmate who messes up the name and puts the glue on Yoon's chair instead. They wait to see him fall into the trap, but to their horror, it's Yoon who sits down. She tries to get up, but feels stuck. Embarrassed, she yells, "Guys, I'm stuck! I'm glued here!" She rushes to change clothes and ends up late to class. Leo feels guilty and decides to apologize. He waits outside her classroom and says, "I'm sorry." Thinking she's a soft-hearted girl, he expects forgiveness, but instead she grabs him and threatens, "Come near me again and I'll break your face." She storms off. Leo is stunned. Not only is she beautiful, but she's brave too, and he starts to admire her personality. This is Zuki. The next day, Leo and his friends are officially transferred to the nerds class, but nobody can tolerate them. Fights start breaking out between the two groups. Then the teacher walks in and asks all the students to step outside because she wants to speak privately with Leo and his gang. She starts laying down the rules of the classroom. "First thing," she says, "you must hit the like button. I want this video to reach 20,000 likes. I know it sounds hard, but I believe it's easy for you. Second," she continues, "I know most of you aren't subscribed to the channel. You have to subscribe so the channel can grow with your support. And third and last, you have to study. Well, that's not too important, but you do need to graduate and go to university." Leo and his friends are oddly moved by her speech. They all promise to give a like, and those who are already subscribed say, "We'll turn on the notification bell so we never miss a video." And those who weren't subscribed say, "All right, we subscribed and turned on notifications." And I swear, dear viewer, they said it, not me. I'm being honest here, not lying. The teacher separates them and seats them far apart from each other so they can finally focus on class. The next day, they come to school and completely forget everything about studying. They focus only on likes, subscriptions, and the notification bell, and again, they're the ones saying this, not me. I'm not lying. They keep messing around in class like always. Suddenly, the teacher walks in, and they quickly hide their phones. All the nerds are focused on the blackboard, but Leo has no clue what's going on. He says to himself, "What the heck is this now? Yoon is sitting in front of me. I swear I'm gonna annoy her." Meanwhile, his friend is so bored he decides to sleep, but tries to be smart about it. He puts on sunglasses so the teacher won't notice and acts like he's just focused. But the teacher notices and smacks him, warning, "If you do that again, I'll make sure you fail the exam." He tries to play it off. "It's just sunglasses for the sun." She snaps, "Then don't wear them again." Class ends, and Leo decides to go talk to Yoon. He wants to make peace with her since she's the class president, basically a big shot. And as the saying goes, if you want something from a dog, call it sir. You get the idea. But Yoon wants nothing to do with him. She treats him coldly. He tries to flirt, hoping his good looks will impress her, but she's still mad about the prank he pulled earlier and completely ignores him. She walks away. As she leaves, her hair accidentally brushes against his face. Leo freezes. This is the hair of the girl I want, he thinks. He watches her walk away, falling in love on the spot. At the same time, another girl, a clone of Yoon, just not as sharp, goes to talk to one of the nerds because she has a crush on him. She decides to confess her feelings. "I want to tell you something." But as she's about to speak, she trips. He catches her just in time. She's thrilled, thinking he likes her too. But he acts cold, refuses to study with her, and walks away. He did that because he's also in love with Yoon, and he doesn't want any other girl to have feelings for him. Later, Leo and his friends are bored, watching a channel called Flash, laughing together. The clone girl thinks they're laughing at her. Angry, she grabs their gym shoes and throws them in the trash. Leo arrives just in time to stop the fight. Yoon tells the clone girl to apologize since she's the class president. The girl listens reluctantly. One of the nerds notices how important those shoes are to the sports guys. While everyone is distracted, he steals them and hides them. When Leo and his friends come back, they're shocked. Their shoes are missing. They want to start a fight, but they know if they do, they'll get expelled. They search everywhere. Yoon decides to help them since she's president. They eventually find the shoes in a box. The boys are thrilled and thank her. Leo finally realizes, these aren't just shoes, they mean something. We've competed in tons of sports events wearing these. Each pair holds special memories. They're our lucky charms. Some of them were even gifts from people dear to us. The nerds are touched. They realize they misjudged the sporty boys. They apologize sincerely. After school, Leo and his friends go out for lunch and spot Yoon walking with her brother. But Leo doesn't know it's her brother. He assumes they're dating. He feels jealous but lies to himself. Whatever, her life's none of my business. The next day, at school, Leo sees the same guy, Yoon's brother, talking to another girl. Leo is shocked. He thinks the guy is cheating on Yoon. He rushes into class to talk to her, wanting to warn her, but then worries it'll hurt her feelings. He angrily mutters, "You guys have terrible taste in men." Yoon is confused. Why is he talking like that? Later in gym class, Yoon is exercising. One of the nerd boys helps her stretch. Leo sees it and assumes the guy is trying to steal Yoon. Jealous again, he rushes over and pulls her away. Yoon is puzzled by his behavior, but suddenly she feels pain. Leo gently puts a bandage on her injured hand. She's surprised by his kindness. He decides to tell her the truth. "The guy you're dating? He's cheating on you with another girl." Trying to comfort her, he adds, "Don't be upset. He's not even that good looking. You deserve someone better, handsome, athletic, someone who's already in this room." Hinting at himself, of course. Yoon is caught off guard by his words and starts laughing. Just then, her brother shows up to check on her. That's when Yoon reveals, "The guy you were talking about? That's my brother." Leo is stunned and relieved. He was wrong. Now he's got a real chance. He hugs her brother. "You're such a respectable guy. A true gentleman, good looks, and good morals." Then Leo puts Yoon's shoes on for her and walks her to class while she chats with the nerd boy. Leo overhears their conversation and learns they're planning to meet after school to study. Jealousy strikes again. Later, he goes to the schoolyard to train with his friends. He gets tired and sits down to rest when a nerd girl comes and asks for his friend's number. Leo is shocked. How? His friend grins and starts giving advice. "Listen, man, you're good-looking, charming. That's why girls approach you. But if you want to keep them interested, find something in common. Know what she likes and match her vibe." Leo feels defeated. He doesn't even know what Yoon likes. What should he do? His friend decides to help. They go talk to the clone girl. Leo's friend pretends to be into her and asks her out after school. She immediately agrees. At the restaurant, Leo's friend gently tricks her into talking about Yoon. Like a fool, she spills everything. What Yoon likes, what she hates, what she's looking for, and what she dreams of. Leo's friend secretly records all of it. Later, Leo listens back and learns Yoon is obsessed with studying and is searching for a specific book. He decides to use this info to get close to her. The next day, Leo goes to the bookstore, warns the owner not to sell that book to anyone else, and intimidates him into agreeing. Later, Yoon arrives at the store with her nerd friend. They ask for the book, but the owner says it's out of stock. Yoon is disappointed. She really needed it. Suddenly, Leo walks in, holding the book in his hands. He proudly gives it to her, thinking this will finally impress her. But she doesn't even thank him. Instead, her nerd friend says, "I know another store that sells it," and takes her away. Leo stands there, crushed. His brilliant plan failed. But deep down, he knows he still has one more chance. The next day, Yoon goes to meet with her teacher and learns that the class will be divided into lab groups. She checks the list and is shocked to find that she's been paired with Leo. She tries to switch groups, but the teacher refuses, explaining that each smart student must be paired with a weaker one to help them improve. Yoon is forced to comply. She sits next to him in the lab and begins explaining the experiment step by step. This is how it starts, and it should end like this, God willing. But Leo understands nothing, not even a word. Frustrated by his ignorance, Yoon decides to make him drop the class. She takes him with her to the storage room to get lab tools. Leo, trying to act heroic, says, "I'll protect you." But the room is dark, and instead of calming her, he's the one who gets scared. He begs her to stay close. Suddenly, a ghostly figure appears before him. He's terrified, screaming in fear, but when he gets closer, he realizes it's just the clone girl, dressed up to prank him. He finds out they were all in on the joke to scare him, and he gets angry. But instead of quitting, he insists on continuing the experiment. Yoon is impressed by his determination and agrees to help him. Back in the lab, she guides him until he finally completes the experiment successfully. Afterward, she decides to give him her number, just in case he needs anything. Leo is overjoyed and quickly saves it before he forgets. That night, he keeps staring at his phone, hoping she'll text him. And his wish comes true. She sends him a message. He's thrilled, but chooses not to reply right away, acting like he's playing it cool. He heads to dinner with his family, only to be shocked when he sees the nerd student sitting at the table. Turns out the nerd's parents are traveling, so he's joining them for dinner. Leo wants to annoy him and shows him the message Yoon sent. The nerd, jealous, gets up and leaves without finishing his meal. Meanwhile, we see Yoon holding an old childhood photo of her and a boy. She looks at it longingly. "This boy, he disappeared," she whispers. She doesn't know who he grew up to be, but she misses him deeply. The next day at school, a committee from the Ministry of Education visits to make sure everything is going smoothly after merging the two classes. The principal, trying to impress them, says, "There are no problems here. Angels have descended from heaven. Everything's perfect." He takes them to the science lab to show how well the students work together. Coincidentally, the students are doing a science experiment in groups, just like yesterday. Yoon starts explaining the process, but Leo messes something up, and an explosion occurs. Smoke fills the lab and students panic, running out of the room. Leo's sporty friends quickly jump into action, carrying out injured students on their backs and helping everyone escape. But Leo notices Yoon is still inside. Without hesitation, he risks his life and runs back into the lab. He finds her lying on the floor, terrified. He rushes to her, lifts her up, and carries her out just before the fire reaches her. Yoon is deeply moved by what he did, but notices that his leg is injured. She takes him to the school clinic and tends to his wound herself. Leo apologizes, saying it was his fault the accident happened, but she tells him she knows it wasn't intentional and thanks him for saving her life. He's touched by her words and asks, "Why were you sitting on the floor, frozen in fear? Why didn't you run like the others?" Yoon gets nervous and opens up. "I have a fear of fire. When I was little, my house caught fire. I almost died. My childhood friend saved me at the last moment. Since then, I've been terrified." At that moment, the nerd student walks in and is jealous, seeing them close. He wishes he was the one who saved her, not Leo. Meanwhile, the principal tells the ministry staff, "See? Didn't I tell you angels are walking among us?" He's worried they'll blame the school, but the officials say the explosion was clearly an accident, and what mattered most was how the students cooperated and helped each other. That was proof enough. The principal is thrilled. He returns to the classroom and praises Leo and Yoon. Yoon tries to take responsibility, saying it was her duty to check the tools as class president, but Leo admits the fault was his. The principal is proud of them both for putting their differences aside and working together during the crisis. As a reward, he invites the entire class to lunch. The students are touched and cheer happily. "Now this is a principal!" They all go to the restaurant together. Leo notices that Yoon's leg still hurts, and she can't walk properly. After school, he gives her a bag with a gift and tells her to rest her foot. When she gets home, she opens the bag and is stunned. He bought her new clothes to replace the ones that got ruined because of him. He also included a special card to help her buy the books she wanted. She's touched by how much attention he pays to detail and realizes he truly knows what she loves. Her heart starts to beat differently. The next day, Yoon goes to the mall and decides to buy Leo a gift to thank him. Back at school, she notices that he's taking his studies seriously now, all just to get closer to her. He asks her to help him study, and she agrees. They sit together and start going over the lessons. Meanwhile, the clone girl asks Yoon if she can borrow her discount card. Yoon hesitates but eventually agrees, asking her to return it safely afterward. The next day, Yoon asks for her card back, but the clone girl pretends she lost it. "Oops, I think I might have thrown it in the trash without noticing," she says. Yoon is upset. The card is precious to her. She rolls up her sleeves and starts digging through the trash to find it. The nerd student sees her and joins to help. Leo sees both of them together and gets jealous. He pulls Yoon away by the hand and tells her to stop looking. He'll just get her a new one. He drags her away despite her protests. Meanwhile, the nerd keeps searching and finally finds the card. He realizes the clone girl threw it away on purpose, out of jealousy. He confronts her. She nervously confesses, "I did it because I like you, and you only care about Yoon." He's shocked, but he's focused on his studies now and warns her not to try that again, or she'll regret it. Later, he returns home. His parents have just come back from their trip. They ask him about school and urge him to study hard to get into a top university. He feels disheartened. They only care about his academic success and how he looks in front of others. He leaves the dinner table and goes to his room. There he finds himself envying Leo. Even though Leo struggles academically, his parents love him unconditionally. The next day, he brings back Yoon's discount card. She's overwhelmed with joy. To thank him, she gives him her juice. Leo walks in and sees them sharing a moment. Jealous again, he sits behind her and starts pulling her chair to annoy her. Suddenly, the principal enters the classroom. He announces an upcoming relay race competition between their class and another. 10 students must be chosen to represent the class. Everyone is excited. Later, during lunch, Leo and his friends go to the cafeteria, but a bully mocks them. Look who's trying to act like nerds now. He challenges them to a race and bets that whoever loses will have to do whatever the winner says. The selection begins. They test to see who's the fastest in class. Of course, Leo and his friends are the top 4 runners. Everyone is impressed, especially with Leo. To balance the team, they must also choose 4 nerds to join the race. The day of the race arrives. All the students gather, cheering for their classmates. But there's a problem. The clone girl is missing. She's supposed to be part of Leo's team. Everyone assumes she chickened out. Yoon steps in and offers to take her place, despite her injured leg. Leo objects, worried about her, but she insists. It's her duty as class president. He finally agrees and tells her, "Run at your own pace. I promise I'll make up for the time you lose." The relay race begins. Each runner hands off the baton to the next. Leo's team, made of athletic stars, is crushing the competition. The race begins, and Yoon takes off quickly, running ahead of the competitors. But soon, the pain from her leg injury kicks in. Still, she pushes through, gritting her teeth, determined not to give up. She manages to reach Leo and hand him the baton, but immediately collapses to the ground, unable to take another step. Leo is alarmed and runs over to help her, but in doing so, he loses valuable time in the race. Yoon reassures him with a weak smile, telling him she's okay, and begs him to keep running so her efforts won't go to waste. He listens to her and makes a promise in his heart to win this race for her. He activates his flash mode, his signature move, and takes off with incredible speed. Even though he started late, he manages to catch up with the other runners. The crowd is in awe of his determination. Students start chanting, "Leo! Leo!" cheering him on with full excitement. He closes in on the arrogant bully who mocked him earlier, but unfortunately, Leo crosses the finish line just 1 second behind the bully and ends up taking second place. Despite losing, Leo gains the respect of all the students. Everyone acknowledges his talent, agreeing he truly deserved to win. Meanwhile, Yoon heads to the infirmary to check on her leg. There, she finds the chameleon girl, the one who was supposed to run in the race. Surprised, Yoon confronts her. "Why didn't you come to the race?" The girl apologizes, claiming she was sick. Yoon is shocked to realize the girl had been unfairly judged by others, but the chameleon girl, feeling guilty for forcing Yoon to run in her place despite her injury, returns to class and stands before everyone. She publicly apologizes to her classmates for being the reason they lost. She breaks down crying. Leo is moved by her tears. He comforts her, saying, "We're one team. We'll make it up in the next competition." That night, photos of Leo and Yoon together during the race go viral on the school's app. Students comment that they look perfect together. Yoon, embarrassed, asks the person who posted the pictures to delete them, but Leo is thrilled. He jumps around on his bed from happiness, almost breaking it. The next day at school, Leo is forced to fulfill his punishment from losing the bet. He has to wear a silly costume and walk barefoot. The bully laughs at him and films him with his phone, mocking him publicly. But Leo's friends refuse to let him suffer alone. They also dress the same way and say, "Take a picture with us too. We're in this together." The whole class is impressed by their loyalty. They realize these guys are real friends. Then the teacher arrives and tells them to change clothes. But the bully tries to take it further and orders Leo to serve him food. Leo agrees, since it was part of the bet. But the nerd student feels guilty, thinking he and his team caused Leo's loss, so they also offer to serve their food alongside him. Everyone begins to understand the meaning of unity. Leo is touched and thanks them for standing by him. The bully is stunned. He thought he humiliated Leo, but his plan backfired. After school, Yoon is surprised to find Leo waiting for her outside. He offers to walk her home. She agrees, feeling happy, and instead of heading home, he takes her to a restaurant and treats her to dinner, ordering all her favorite dishes. She's touched by his thoughtfulness and keeps glancing at him fondly, but then she remembers, "We have a test tomorrow." Leo shrugs and says, "Don't worry about it." Yoon scolds him, "You're so stupid." He laughs, confused. "What's that mean?" She grins, "It means strawberry." The next day, the exam starts, and Leo is completely clueless. He didn't study at all. He randomly picks answers. B? C? Oh, D looks good. When the results come out, Yoon teases him mercilessly. He got the lowest grade in class. He feels embarrassed in front of her. "She called me a strawberry, and now I've become a rotten one," he thinks. His best friend tries to cheer him up and hands him his exam paper to help correct his mistakes. Later at home, Leo's mom sees the exam paper and is thrilled. "Wow, you did great, my son. I'm so proud." She's about to ululate from joy, but Leo stops her. "Wait, Mom, that's not my paper. It's my friend's." She looks at his real paper and is disappointed. "I raised you better than this. Shame on me. I wish I never gave birth to you," she snaps. Her words crush Leo. The next day, his friends offer to help, but instead of tutoring him, they come up with ways to cheat in the next exam. As the saying goes, "Don't give me the answer, teach me how to cheat." They devise a plan to use cheat sheets in the next test, but suddenly, Yoon barges in and catches them. She threatens to report them. "I'm the class president," she reminds them. Leo panics and insists, "I was just joking. Me? Cheat? Never!" He blames someone else. This cheat sheet isn't mine. It belongs to that guy over there. But all I want is to pass the exam so I can make my poor mom proud. Yoon is touched by his honesty and decides to help him study. She spends the whole day gathering summaries and notes for him. That night, she calls Leo to come pick up the notes, but he and his friends are playing sports, sneaking into a stadium to watch the national running team train. Because of that, he misses her calls. Yoon gets angry and feels unappreciated. I tried to help him, and this is how he treats me? Leo finally remembers their meeting time and rushes to find her, but by the time he arrives, she's already upset and refuses to talk. He tries to apologize, but she ignores him. Feeling guilty, he returns to the classroom and studies all night. The next morning, Yoon arrives at school early and finds Leo still there. He had stayed overnight, studying the entire time. She realizes he's serious now. Leo seizes the moment to apologize. I didn't mean to upset you. I promise. It won't happen again. Yoon forgives him. They sit and study together, growing closer than ever. After school, Yoon helps Leo and his friends understand the subjects they're weak in. Even the nerds and the clone girl join in, making study guides for everyone. Leo and his friends are inspired. They start focusing more, training and studying seriously. Their academic performance improves, and for the first time, Leo feels confident he might actually pass. The next day, he approaches Yoon and invites her to dinner to thank her, but she declines, saying she already made plans to study at the library with the nerd student. Leo is crushed, but hides his feelings. That night, he goes out with his friends, but they notice something's off. What's wrong with you? They ask, but he doesn't tell them. The next day, Yoon offers to study with him again, but Leo acts cold, saying, I don't need your help anymore. Yoon is confused by his sudden change and feels hurt. Later, during PE class, the coach is absent. Since Leo is the best athlete, he volunteers to lead the class. He starts teasing Yoon. The nerd tries to defend her, but Leo forces him to do difficult exercises to humiliate him. Yoon is disappointed in Leo and walks away, ignoring his attempts to explain. Afterward, one of Leo's friends offers him leaked exam answers, but Leo refuses to cheat. He wants to pass on his own. He deletes the answers. Finally, exam day arrives. Leo concentrates hard, recalling everything he studied. He manages to answer all the questions. Afterward, Yoon reviews the test with him and is amazed. He did well. Their study sessions paid off. Leo is thrilled and goes out to celebrate with his friends, but the bully sees them and mocks them again. Bet you still fail. Leo ignores him. After school, he waits for Yoon and tells her he wants to thank her. She asks, where are we going? He just smiles and says, come with me. He takes her to an amusement park. They try every ride together, then sit to eat her favorite ice cream. They laugh, play, and enjoy every moment. They have lunch together, and Yoon thanks him, saying, I haven't been to a theme park since I was a kid. This was so special. Leo is overjoyed by her words, and it's clear now. They're both falling for each other, but no one has the courage to confess their feelings. The next day at school, the exam results are posted. Leo and his friends rush to check their grades, and to their shock, they passed. Not only that, they got some of the highest scores in the class. They're overjoyed and can't believe it. But just as they begin celebrating, a student stops them and says, the principal wants to see you in his office. Confused, they assume he's going to congratulate them. Instead, once they arrive, they're accused of cheating. They try to defend themselves, insisting they studied hard and earned those scores, but the principal doesn't believe them. In his eyes, they're known as failures, and it's impossible they could get such grades without cheating. Suddenly, Yoon walks in and hears what's going on. She refuses to believe it. I trust them, she says firmly. I saw how hard they studied. They're innocent. She asks the principal to give her a chance to prove their innocence. Meanwhile, Leo and his friends are hurt, not just by the accusation, but by the fact that their hard work still isn't enough for people to believe in them. They begin to feel defeated. Maybe this place isn't for us, they think. No matter what we do, they'll always see us as failures. They decide to leave the class, but their teacher hears what happened and immediately comes to talk to them. I believe in you, she says. Anyone can tell you answered with your own efforts. Don't let what the principal said get to you. Her words touch them deeply. They thank her and agree to return to class, this time with confidence in themselves. But as they walk back, they notice all the students staring and whispering behind their backs. Rumors have spread. When they enter the classroom, the bully, who clearly knows something, tells his friend to kick Leo and his friends out of class. Leo is stunned. He suspects Yoon might have told everyone. She tries to explain that she didn't, but he doesn't believe her and storms out of the classroom. Soon after, rumors explode on the school app. Everyone starts talking about Leo and his friends being cheaters. People demand their expulsion. Leo and his friends are crushed that no one believes them. They isolate themselves in the gym room. That night, Yoon keeps texting Leo, but he refuses to reply. The next day, she finds him in the schoolyard and says, "I never said anything about you. I still believe in you. I know you're not a cheater." Her words comfort him. He apologizes, and she promises she'll prove his innocence. When she returns to class, the nerd student approaches her and offers to help. Together, they go to the computer lab and use their tech skills to recover deleted files. What they find shocks them. The answers that were sent to Leo and his friends were all wrong. If they had really cheated from them, they would have failed. This discovery proves their innocence. They print out the evidence, seal it in an envelope, and leave it on the principal's desk. Meanwhile, Leo and his friends go to the playground, but the bully keeps taunting them, trying to provoke a fight. Yoon steps in. "What's wrong? Are you jealous because they're better than you?" she says boldly. "They're smarter and more skilled than you'll ever be." Just then, the principal opens the envelope and reads the documents. He realizes he was wrong, and that the boys were telling the truth all along. He feels terrible for falsely accusing them and damaging their confidence. He speaks over the school intercom. "I want everyone to know that Leo and his friends passed the exam through their own hard work. I apologize for doubting them." The students are shocked, but Leo and his friends are finally vindicated. Later, they thank Yoon for what she did. She also reveals something else. The bully is the one who sent you those fake answers. He wanted you to fail. The principal decides to open an investigation into the bully's actions. Later that day, Leo approaches Yoon and thanks her for believing in him and clearing his name. He also apologizes for doubting her. Yoon smiles and says, "Now you can go home and make your mom proud." She adds, "And don't forget, the nerd student helped too. You should thank him." Surprised, Leo agrees. When he gets home, he knocks on the nerd's door, thanks him for helping prove his innocence, and invites him to dinner to repay the favor. Then, Leo texts Yoon and invites her to watch him play basketball at school. She agrees. The next day, she shows up to cheer for him. With his crush in the audience, Leo is fired up. He shows off all his skills, dribbling, scoring, moving left and right like a pro. The crowd is amazed. After the game, Yoon approaches him. "So, what did you think of my performance?" he asks. She smiles. "Honestly, I wish I could play like you. My life is just books and study." Leo starts giving her basketball tips. She tries them out, scores a few points, and they laugh and have fun together. Afterward, while walking down the street, they notice a crowd of girls gathered, waiting for someone. Suddenly, a fancy car pulls up, and a handsome young man steps out. Turns out, he's a famous idol named Ado, who recently moved back from America. But oddly, he ignores everyone and walks straight to Yoon. The girls gasp. He knows her? Yoon, however, acts unimpressed and stays focused on her class notes. After class, the girls rush to take photos with Ado, but he brushes them off and follows Yoon instead. He calls out to her. Yoon is confused. "How do you know my name?" Before he can answer, the fangirls spot him and chase after him. Terrified, he grabs Yoon's hand and runs away with her. They hide in the school library. Ado places his hand over Yoon's mouth to keep her quiet. She's flustered and asks, "Who even are you? Why are you doing this?" He looks into her eyes and says, "Don't you remember our childhood? The memories we shared?" Yoon is stunned. "What? No way, is this a joke?" He smiles. "Yes, exactly. That's what you used to say. No way, I'm your childhood friend, the one who saved your life." Yoon's jaw drops. "Oh my god, I can't believe it. You're my chubby childhood bestie? You've turned into a handsome idol?" "Prove it." He pulls out a necklace, shaped like a whistle, the same one he gave her when they were little. Yoon stares at it, wide-eyed. It's the same necklace she kept all these years. Now she's sure. It's really him. She's overwhelmed with joy. They sit together as he tells her about his life in America. "I've been looking for you ever since I got back. When I heard you were at this school, I knew I had to come here." They talk about their old memories and are happy to be reunited after so many years. Meanwhile, Leo is feeling jealous. He searches for Yoon all over the school. He sees her coming out of the library with Ado. "Hey, what are you doing with the idol? How do you know him?" Yoon replies casually, "Relax. He's just my childhood friend I've been looking for." She walks away and enters the classroom. Leo is stunned. She found her childhood friend, but what if I'm the one who's about to lose her? He tells his friends everything, but one of them encourages him. "Don't give up. Have confidence in yourself. So what if he's an idol? You're a talented athlete. That's something too." Leo's friend tries to talk to the clone girl to confirm what he suspects, but he finds her busy trying to take a selfie with the idol. He's disappointed and mutters, "So you like him too?" She replies bluntly, "Like him? I love him. I want to marry him." Leo's friend gets furious and storms off. He returns to his friends and vents. "You were right. This idol has stolen every girl's heart." His friend tries to comfort him. "Listen, here's some advice. Find yourself a girl who can't see, because if she saw him, she'd faint from love." They agree to ignore the situation and pretend it doesn't bother them anymore. They head to the cafeteria for lunch, but there, Leo sees the idol eating with Yoon, and a wave of jealousy crashes over him. His friend says, "If you want to get him away from Yoon, there's only one way. Turn it into a one-on-one competition." Leo agrees. They go to the principal and rat the idol out for not wearing the school uniform. The principal storms into class and scolds the idol in front of everyone. Leo and his friends are thrilled. Their plan worked. Next, they invite the idol to the sports field and ask him to play a game with them. They secretly agree to target him and outplay him, all to push him away from Yoon. They manage to distance him from her at school, but they fear he'll go to her house. And that's exactly what happens. The idol visits Yoon at home. Her mother is stunned but delighted to meet him. She welcomes him warmly and invites him to stay for dinner. After eating, Yoon walks him out, but he asks her to help him study since he doesn't have time because of his acting schedule. He's a celebrity after all. Yoon agrees, feeling indebted to him. He was the boy who saved her life in childhood. The next day, she asks Leo and the nerd to help her tutor him. Leo refuses at first, jealous of the idol, but the nerd says, "If we don't help, she'll study with him alone. Are you okay with that?" Leo realizes he has a point and agrees. "Fine, I'm in. You know I love doing good and throwing it in the water," he says sarcastically. That night, Leo starts scheming. He calls Yoon's brother and tries to find out what she'll wear tomorrow so he can match colors with her. Her brother refuses, saying, "That's my sister. I'm not spying on her for you." Leo bribes him with food. Her brother finally says, "She's wearing green. You didn't hear it from me." Overjoyed, Leo digs through his closet until he finds something green to match her. The next day, the idol expects Yoon to arrive alone to study, thinking he'd finally get time with her. But to his surprise, Leo and the nerd tag along. The three of them study together every day, and Leo and the nerd keep annoying the idol so he never gets a moment alone with Yoon. They even force him to exercise and train for an acting role that requires physical fitness. Yoon finds it strange but doesn't realize there's a secret war going on between the three. Eventually, exam day comes. All of them do well, and the idol is especially happy with his grade. He invites Yoon to his house for a celebration at the end of the week. Leo and the nerd overhear and insist on tagging along. They all hang out together playing PlayStation while Yoon studies alone. They order pizza, but when Yoon eats it, she feels intense stomach pain. It was spoiled. She tries to warn them, but it's too late. The idol eats some too and collapses from the food poisoning. In panic, Leo lifts Yoon in his arms and rushes her to the hospital. The nerd helps the idol discreetly, since he's a celebrity and shouldn't be seen like this. Leo stays by Yoon's side until she wakes up. Fortunately, the doctor confirms it was nothing serious. Leo, ever the romantic, says, "If you need anything, just call me, and from now on, let us taste your food first so you don't get hurt." Yoon is moved and thanks him for saving her. Later, the idol's manager visits to check on him but scolds him harshly. She blames Leo and his friends for what happened and tells the idol to stay away from them, but the idol refuses. "This is the first time I've felt like I have real friends, not just people who like me because I'm famous." His manager softens. She thanks the group for saving him, but tells them their involvement is distracting him from his career. He needs to focus on acting and music. They understand and promise not to waste his time again. Later, when they visit him, he's happy to see them, but they insist he listen to his manager for his own good. Yoon leaves to change clothes. When she returns, she finds the three boys arguing. She blames the idol for neglecting his studies and sides with Leo. She tells the idol to focus on school and become a lawyer like his father. He's hurt. Why does what I want to study not matter to anyone? He leaves and locks himself in his room. The next day, their teacher distributes college application forms to everyone in class and asks them to choose their future majors. The idol is absent due to his illness. Leo and the nerd visit him at home and give him the form. He thanks them and says he's decided to study music. He also reveals he'll be taking time off to focus on training. Back at school, the teacher reviews everyone's applications and is surprised by Leo's and the nerd's choices. She sits with the nerd first and asks, "Are you sure about this? Your family wants you to become a lawyer." He replies, "I've decided to study programming because I love it. I'm not changing my mind." Meanwhile, the PE teacher talks to Leo. "I thought you'd apply to a sports university. You're a talented runner." But Leo says he's changed his mind. He wants to attend the same university as Yoon. "I know it's a competitive school and needs high grades," Leo says, "but I'll work hard to get in." He tells his friends about his decision. They're shocked. They had planned to all go to the sports university together. One friend is especially hurt. "You promised we'd stick together. Now you're leaving us?" He walks away, feeling betrayed. Leo is filled with guilt and returns to class, heavy-hearted. Yoon notices something's wrong. She sits beside him to tutor him, but he's clearly distracted. She suggests they go out and take a walk to clear his mind. He agrees. After school, they go to the usual restaurant where Leo and his friends used to hang out. To his surprise, his friends are already there, without him. He tries to speak to them, but the hurt friend refuses. Yoon watches the tension unfold and asks Leo what's going on. He finally opens up. Flashback 3 years ago. It was the day of a big running competition. Leo's shoe tore and he was going to withdraw, but his friend stopped him and gave him his own shoes, believing in Leo's talent. He told Leo, "Go win this. I believe in you." Leo put on the shoes, activated his signature flash mode, and won first place. But afterward, he gave the medal to his friend, saying, "This is yours. You helped me win." Since that day, they've been inseparable and had promised to enter the sports university together and chase their dream. Back in the present, Leo finishes his story. Yoon is deeply moved. She tells him, "Don't give up on your friendship. Keep trying until you make it right." Leo is convinced by Yoon's words and decides to make things right. When he gets home, he begins sending his friend heartfelt messages to explain his point of view. Meanwhile, the nerd returns home to find his mother waiting for him. To his shock, she's gathered all his programming books and is planning to throw them out. Like many strict mothers, especially Egyptian ones, she says, "I know what's best for you better than you do. Be a lawyer like your father so you can work in his firm. If you go into programming, you'll get lost between companies and no one will hire you." Her words crush him. He goes to his room, heartbroken that he can't pursue what he loves. The next day, on the way to school, Leo pulls him aside and takes him to his room. He shows him the programming books his mother threw away. He had secretly rescued them and kept them safe. Leo tells him to come over in secret to study so he can still chase his dream. The nerd lights up with joy and thanks him. Their bond grows even stronger. Later, Leo talks to his close friend and reassures him, "Even if we go to different universities, we'll always be friends." His friend accepts the apology, and they head to the library to study with the group. There, they are surprised to see the idol has returned from his break. Everyone welcomes him, and they all study together again. At the end of the day, Leo takes the chance to offer Yoon a ride home on his bike, but finds the nerd and the idol waiting too. They also want to walk her home. Yoon, overwhelmed, ends up walking with her brother instead. Meanwhile, the nerd's mother sneaks into his room, searching through his things. She finds his university application and is shocked to see he forged her signature to apply for a programming degree. When he comes home, she confronts him and blames Leo, ordering her son to cut ties with him, but he refuses. "I have the right to choose my friends and study what I love," he declares, and leaves the house that night to stay at the idol's place. The next day at school, his friends notice that the nerd has changed. He's distant, even during class. During break, he eats alone. They learn he's participating in a programming competition, but he's afraid to go, fearing failure could crush his dream. His friends decide to support him. But then comes the shocking twist. His mother arrives at school, demanding a transfer to pull him away from his bad influences and make him focus on law school. Yoon and the idol stall her while Leo seizes the opportunity, grabs the nerd, and rushes him to the competition on his bike. Yoon tries to convince the mother not to take him away. "He's gifted," she tells her. "Come see him compete." She reluctantly agrees and attends the event. The nerd performs well and secures a top spot. But when he spots his mother in the crowd, he freezes, her harsh words echoing in his head. His confidence starts to crumble. But his friends cheer him on. Their encouragement reignites his spirit. He digs deep, finds his courage, and pushes through. He ends up winning first place. His friends celebrate, proud of him. They ask him to talk to his mother again and try one more time to make her understand. That night, he goes home and apologizes for lying. He pleads, "Let me do what I love." She finally softens and agrees. "Just focus on getting good grades, then we'll decide what you'll study." The nerd is thrilled. His mom has changed. The next day at school, he thanks his friends for everything. It's the last day of the term before the New Year break. The group decides to celebrate and hang out. They go shopping for gifts and take fun photos together to preserve the memories. The idol treats them all to lunch at a restaurant to thank them for helping him study. The next day, the nerd heads off to a training camp to deepen his programming skills. Leo walks him to the station and jokingly says goodbye. "Safe travels, bro. Now that you're out of the way, I've got Yoon to myself." But when he returns, he finds the idol having breakfast with Yoon. He learns the idol asked her to help him study during the break. Leo feels the sting of jealousy. Trying to keep up, he says, "I want to study too. I need to pass my entrance exam." Of course, neither of them truly care about studying right now. Their real goal is to win Yoon's heart. She enters the room and is surprised to find them asleep instead of studying. She wakes them up angrily, but they both admit they were starving. They head to the supermarket to buy groceries, but trouble finds them. Idol fans recognize him, and a chase begins. The idol runs, and with Leo's help, they escape. Back at home, things escalate again. Leo and the idol argue. Each one wants to cook Yoon's meal, so they agree on a challenge. Both will cook. She'll be the judge. Yoon steps out, leaving them in the kitchen. Each one sabotages the other's dish until chaos breaks out and they almost destroy the kitchen. Yoon bursts in, furious. "Compete fairly! The best dish will win!" They listen and calm down. Each one puts their heart into cooking. When they finish, Yoon returns to judge. She covers her eyes to make it fair. After tasting both meals, she picks Leo's dish. He jumps in excitement. "Like and subscribe! Let's hit 2 million subs! If you think that's hard, remember, I cook and our girl loved it." Later, they sit and talk. Yoon asks Leo where he learned to cook. He explains that he learned from his father, who used to cook to give his mother a break. Yoon remembers her late father and tears up. "He used to cook for me too. I miss him." Leo is moved. He promises, "I'll cook all your favorite meals, just like he used to." They grow closer and Leo is about to confess his feelings, but the idol cuts in, calling Yoon, ruining the moment. He sits at the piano and starts playing a beautiful tune. Everyone is amazed by his talent. They listen peacefully. At the end of the day, both Leo and the idol walk Yoon home. On the way, they talk and make a pact. Whoever ends up with Yoon must protect her and never make her cry. The next morning, Yoon and her brother wake up to a shock. A group of reporters is waiting outside their house. Rumors have spread that Yoon is dating the idol. She's panicked and doesn't know how to leave the house. Leo shows up and sneaks her out through the back door, but the reporters spot them and chase them. Leo lifts her in his arms and sprints away using his flash mode, successfully escaping. He takes her to his house and they sit together, thinking of what to do next. Soon they discover someone secretly took a photo of Yoon and the idol, and that's what started the rumors. The nerd calls them and says he'll use his programming skills to help them track down the person behind it. Yoon is upset that her reputation might be ruined, but Leo comforts her. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay by your side until the truth comes out." Yoon smiles through her stress. "I need to go home and get some clothes first." Then she comes to stay with him for a while until things calm down. He has to go with her, but when they reach the house, they find the idol's fangirls waiting outside for her. They push her and hurt her, but luckily the idol arrives just in time and distracts the girls so they leave her alone. Taking advantage of the distraction, the main characters sneak inside the house. Leo starts disinfecting her wound and puts a small bandage on it. Even though it's a minor injury, he's very worried about her. He gently blows on the wound to ease her pain, acting so tenderly that her brother gets annoyed and snaps, "Hey man, take it easy. We're barely hanging in here. Can't you see how her face looks? Like a piece of minced meat? And now you're treating her too?" Suddenly she gets a message from the idol, apologizing for all the trouble she went through because of him. He promises to fix everything. Leo decides to stay over that night to protect her. He even wants to sleep in her room to stay close. But our girl is polite and well-raised. She tells him, "This is not appropriate," and kicks him out of the room. So, he's forced to sleep in her brother's room, but he keeps tossing and turning all night, unable to sleep as he thinks about the person who spread the rumors. The next day, the idol goes live and announces that Yoon is just his childhood friend and was only tutoring him. He says there's absolutely nothing romantic between them and asks his fans to respect her because she means a lot to him. He sees her as a sister. Yoon feels relieved when she sees the video. Suddenly, the nerd calls them and says he found out who spread the rumor. It turns out it was the school bully. The idol goes to confront him and asks why he did it. The bully confesses regretfully that a big news agency had pressured him into it because he needed the money. He apologizes and promises to fix his mistake and confess everything. The idol believes his remorse and forgives him. When the bully's mother finds out, she feels deeply ashamed and apologizes to the school administration. She decides to transfer her son to another school. With that, the crisis ends and the heroes return to their normal lives. They all go to the idol's house to celebrate the good news. The nerd also returns from camp, and Yoon insists on cooking for everyone by herself. But she's terrible at cooking. She doesn't know how to do anything except study, and she ruins the food. The boys are scared to eat it and think of escaping, but she blocks the way. "Either you eat," she warns them, "or you all head to the bathroom." They respond, "What does eating have to do with the bathroom?" She replies, "Well, you'll find out once you try my food." Reluctantly, they agree to eat so they don't hurt her feelings. After the meal, the nerd brings her a gift, but doesn't have the courage to give it to her. They all agree to go to bed early since tomorrow is the first day of the new semester. That night, the idol's manager visits and offers him a scholarship to study music in America. He's surprised because he doesn't want to leave his friends, but she tells him to focus on his future and gives him time to think. He sits alone, torn and unsure of what decision to make because he loves Yoon and wants to stay close to her. The next day, all the students return to school, excited and happy to see their classmates again. The teacher reminds them to focus because this is their final semester before graduation. During the break, the idol asks Yoon if they can talk privately. She worries there's a new rumor, but he assures her it's something else. He asks if she's ever thought about studying abroad. She's confused by the question, then explains she could never do that. She doesn't want to be far from her family. He's disappointed because he had hoped she would come with him. He walks away, feeling defeated. That night, Yoon lies in bed thinking about his question and wonders what he really meant. Suddenly, Leo shows up outside her house and calls her to come down. She can't believe it and hurries outside. He takes her to a surprise location filled with lights, where he has prepared food he cooked himself. She's touched by his effort and feels even more moved when he asks her to stay by his side until he fulfills his dream of becoming a runner. He promises to never leave her. He'll even carry her while running if needed. Yoon is overwhelmed with emotion and realizes she's starting to have feelings for him. They walk together under the lights, enjoying their time and getting closer. When Yoon returns home, she finds her mother and brother talking about her late father. She joins them and looks at childhood photos. Her mother tells them how much their father loved them, that they were the most precious thing in his life. Meanwhile, the idol talks to his assistant and confirms he'll be traveling soon, but before that, he has to throw a big farewell party. The next day, the news spreads at school. He invites all the students and personally asks Yoon to come. She tells him she has exams and needs to study, but he insists and makes her promise to attend. She's surprised by how persistent he is. Maybe it's because she always supported him. During the party, he sings a special song he wrote just for her, remembering their childhood and sweet memories. Leo's friends realize he's about to confess his feelings, so they text Leo to warn him. At that moment, Leo is competing in a race, but when he sees the message, he runs off to try and stop the confession. After the party ends, the idol confesses his love to Yoon and tells her he's leaving soon. She thanks him for his feelings but gently turns him down, saying she's always seen him as an older brother and he'll always be her closest friend. She gives him back the necklace and asks him to take care of himself, promising to always remember him. She walks away. Then Leo arrives, thinking he's too late, but Yoon meets him and tells him she turned the idol down because he's leaving, and she refused to be in a long-distance relationship. Leo is overjoyed and walks her home. She thanks him for trusting her and says she's going to wait until he achieves his dream. The next day, the idol gets ready to leave, but is surprised to see all his friends waiting to say goodbye. Even though Leo and the nerd should be happy, now the path is clear for them to win Yoon's heart. They're sad because they had come to see the idol as their friend. They shake his hand and ask him to take care of himself. The idol is touched. It's the first time he's had true friends. He tries to hug Yoon goodbye, but Leo and his buddies block him. "We'll hug you, bro," they joke. "Now go to the airport and don't come back." Later, they return to school and start their fitness training for the university entrance exams. Yoon notices a girl trying to get close to Leo and becomes jealous. She wants to confront her, but suddenly feels dizzy and collapses. The nerd takes her to the school clinic. The doctor reassures them it's just anemia from studying too much and not eating properly. When Leo hears, he goes to talk to her. He takes her phone and sets meal reminders, asking her to send him photos of her meals to make sure she's eating. Yoon is touched by how much he cares and promises to do it. He then suggests they go out, but she gets shy and runs off without answering. Back home, she regrets not replying and blames herself. She tries to study to distract herself. Then Leo shows up outside her window, calling her to come down and go out with him. She pretends to hesitate, but secretly is thrilled. She puts on her prettiest dress, and when he sees her, he's stunned by her beauty. He can't stop staring at her as they head out to the restaurant. He orders her favorite food, and they enjoy the meal together, laughing and chatting happily. Afterward, they go to the mall, where he buys her many gifts. As the day comes to an end, they decide to watch a movie at the cinema. Leo, the mischievous one, chooses a horror movie, thinking she'll get scared and jump into his arms, just like in the movies. But it turns out the opposite happens. The so-called brave lion can't even keep his eyes on the screen. Yoon bursts into laughter at his reaction and gently comforts him like a child. The next day, he takes her to the sports field to exercise and improve her fitness. He ties a rope around her waist so she can stay close to him while running. Yoon feels a little embarrassed, but is clearly happy. They train together and have a lovely time. After they finish, they sit down to talk. Leo opens up and tells her that today is his birthday, and he really wanted to spend it with her. She's surprised. She had no idea. She immediately starts singing happy birthday to him. From a distance, the nerd sees them together and starts to feel jealous. His heart sinks as he becomes certain that Yoon doesn't love him. Feeling defeated, he quietly decides to pull away from her life and walks away in silence, heartbroken that he's lost her. That night, Leo returns home to a surprise. His family has prepared a birthday cake and they throw him a small celebration. He's touched and thanks them, but he can't stop thinking about the nerd, knowing that his friend is alone because his family traveled, so he takes a piece of the cake and goes to give it to him. However, the nerd acts cold and distant. He tells Leo bluntly that he doesn't like sweets and walks away. Leo is confused. He doesn't understand why his friend is treating him so differently. He senses something is wrong. Next day at school, Leo notices Yoon is not acting like herself. After class, he tries to talk to her, but she leaves early with her brother. At home, we learn that today is the anniversary of her father's death. Yoon begins to recall her memories with him, how they once went on a trip as a family. Her mom, her dad, and her brother. That day, her father asked her to look after her mother and brother in his absence. She promised. We find out that her father had a serious illness and knew he didn't have much time left. That's why he gave her those instructions. As Yoon snaps out of her memories, her brother approaches her and asks her to tell him about their father because he doesn't remember him. He was too young when he died. Yoon is touched and tries to comfort him. She takes him into their father's room, shows him the old photos, and they read his journal together. In it, she finds notes where her father wrote about the symptoms he was experiencing before his death: dizziness, frequent fainting, and bruises appearing on his body. Yoon starts noticing similar marks on her own body. She remembers fainting twice recently at school. A terrible fear creeps in. What if she's inherited the same disease? She stays up all night thinking, unable to sleep. The next day at school, she goes to the nurse and tells her about her symptoms. The doctor reassures her that her father's disease isn't hereditary, but suggests doing a scan just to be sure. Yoon leaves the clinic scared and distracted. In class, she's lost in thought. Her friend notices something is off and tries to talk to her, but Yoon snaps at her and hurts her feelings. Everyone is surprised by Yoon's behavior. This isn't like her. She eventually breaks down and leaves the classroom. Leo immediately follows her to check on her. He tries to calm her down and asks if she's hiding something from him. But knowing he has a big competition in 2 days, she chooses not to tell him. She lies and says she's just overwhelmed by the upcoming exams. She walks him back to class. Later, she apologizes to her friend and sits beside her. Her friend forgives her and hugs her. During the break, Yoon goes to the library to check out books about her father's illness and learn more about it. The nerd sees the title of the book and immediately understands what's going on. He takes her outside the school to talk. Yoon tells him everything and begs him not to say a word, especially not to Leo, because of his upcoming competition. The nerd promises to keep her secret as long as she allows him to stay by her side and look after her. Meanwhile, Leo's friend sees Yoon and the nerd together and thinks something suspicious is going on. He calls Leo and tells him what he saw, but Leo laughs it off and doesn't pay it much attention. The next morning, Leo waits outside Yoon's house with her favorite candies, but he's surprised to see her walking to school with the nerd. Jealousy stings again. At school, Leo seems upset and hands out breakfast to his friends half-heartedly. He then pulls Yoon aside and confronts her about being with the nerd in the morning. She tells him it was a coincidence and asks him to trust her. Though confused, Leo chooses to believe her because he truly loves her. He takes her back to class, but after the lesson ends, everyone leaves, and Yoon stays in her seat, unsure what to do. The nerd comes over and urges her to tell her mother and brother about what's going on. He reminds her that her family has a right to know, but she's terrified that she might really have her father's illness and breaks down in tears. The nerd tries to comfort her and hands her tissues. Suddenly, Leo's friends walk in and see them together. They jump to conclusions, thinking Yoon is cheating on Leo. They rush to tell him what they saw, but Leo doesn't believe them. He trusts Yoon and knows she loves him. That night, Yoon returns home and finally opens up to her mother and brother. Her mother is shocked, but tries to stay strong. She checks the marks on Yoon's body and tells her they'll go to the hospital in the morning to get tests done. Once Yoon is out of sight, her mother breaks down and cries alone, terrified of losing her daughter the same way she lost her husband. Meanwhile, Leo stays up late thinking of Yoon. He texts her asking if she'll be at training tomorrow, but she replies saying she won't be able to come. He's hurt, but remembers her words and decides not to pressure her. The next day, Leo goes to the field and trains alone, but he's unfocused, distracted by thoughts of Yoon. During the run, he trips and falls, injuring his leg. His friends rush to help. Thankfully, the injury is minor, but they blame Yoon, believing she caused it by messing with his emotions. When Leo returns to class, he pretends everything's fine so Yoon doesn't worry. But his friends are clearly upset with her. They think she betrayed him. At lunch, Yoon sits alone. Her friend tells her that Leo got hurt. Yoon feels guilty. She knows she's the reason. After school, she goes to the field to talk to him. She tells him they need to distance themselves so he can focus on his championship and studies. Leo is shocked. "What did I do wrong?" he asks. But Yoon doesn't answer and walks away. The next day, she goes with her mother to the hospital. The doctor recommends blood tests, so she misses school. Her friend is surprised because this is the first time Yun has ever skipped. She starts suspecting something's wrong. She teams up with Leo's friend and they confront Yun's brother. At first, he tries to dodge their questions, but eventually tells them everything. They're stunned and feel guilty for misjudging her. They all agree to keep her secret until the test results come out, and they know for sure whether she's sick. That night, Leo sits in his room thinking about Yun. He's heartbroken, convinced she doesn't love him anymore. The next day is the big competition, and fate brings him face to face with the nerd. Leo is also competing in a programming competition. Both he and the nerd wish the best for each other. Yun feels torn. She doesn't know who to go support. In the end, she follows her heart and decides to go cheer for Leo because she loves him. She quickly puts on an accessory and hurries to catch up with him. At that moment, Leo is already on the track, thinking about her. His eyes keep scanning the crowd with hope, praying she'll come. The race begins, but he's no longer focused. He keeps glancing around, looking for her. Meanwhile, Yun is on her way, running toward him, but suddenly she feels weak, becomes dizzy, and faints. Because of this, Leo also loses focus and ends up losing the race, finishing in second place. Everyone is heartbroken for him. As for the nerd, it's now his turn in the programming contest. His father shows up to watch, wanting to see if his son is truly talented or not. But suddenly news arrives that Yun has fainted and been taken to the hospital. The nerd immediately leaves the competition and rushes to be by her side. When he arrives, he finds her asleep. Seeing her like that breaks his heart. He remembers all their memories together and silently prays for her recovery. He stays beside her until she wakes up. Yun is shocked to see him. When she realizes he abandoned his competition for her, she feels Later, when Leo returns home, his family is waiting to see his trophy, still thinking he won. But he walks past them silently and locks himself in his room, drowning in disappointment. His friend comes by and tells the family that Leo didn't win. They're saddened when they see how broken he is. That night, the nerd visits Leo to lift his spirits. He reminds him of their childhood memories, especially the time Leo won a school race and became the most popular student. The nerd admits, "Even though I was always the top student, I secretly envied you because you were talented and doing what you loved. I only followed my parents' wishes. I studied non-stop to come first, but I never felt the joy of life. Don't give up, Leo. Try again. I believe in you." Leo is deeply moved by the nerd's words and thanks him. The next day, Leo goes back to the track and tries to train again, but the memory of the last race haunts him. He feels discouraged and unable to run. His coach talks to him and urges him to believe in his own talent. Slowly, Leo regains confidence and starts running faster than ever before. That night, Leo sees Yun returning home with the nerd. He asks to speak with her. He tells her, "I won't pressure you anymore, but I have one request. Talk to me like you used to, even if we stay just friends." Yun doesn't answer. He walks away, but she's affected. She grabs his hand and asks to talk. Yun finally opens up to Leo and confesses the truth about her illness. "This is what I was hiding," she says. "I was afraid I might die, and if you got too close, it would hurt you, so I pushed you away to protect you." Leo is shocked, but gently reassures her that he will never leave her no matter what. He asks her to always be honest with him and never hide anything again. Yun is overwhelmed with his words and promises she will. Meanwhile, the nerd returns home to find his mother waiting for him. She wants to talk. She tells him, "I gave you a chance, but you blew it when you left the competition. I've decided to transfer you to a different school." She's doing this to distance him from his friends. She insists that he focus on studying to get top grades. Her son is devastated but knows there's no convincing her. He goes to his room and cries alone. The next day, Yun's test results are released. Her mother and brother rush to the hospital, anxious and trembling with worry. The doctor reassures them. Yun is fine. She only has anemia from overstudying and poor eating. They breathe a sigh of relief and embrace their daughter with joy. They remind her to take better care of her health. Yun returns to school. Now that she's okay, Leo is allowed to compete again in the race that he missed. His friends are thrilled and decide to celebrate. After school, they head to their favorite hangout restaurant, but they're surprised the nerd isn't there. Yun texts him, but he doesn't reply. He's trying to get used to the idea of leaving since his transfer is now official. The next day, the nerd goes with his parents to withdraw his school records, but when they arrive, he's stunned. Every student is waiting for him with a huge banner, begging him not to leave. He's overwhelmed by their love. These students who once ignored him now want him to stay. The school principal herself steps in to speak with the nerd's parents. She tells his mother, "Your son is the smartest student here. Let him do what he loves." His father is convinced and agrees to let him stay. He takes his wife and leaves, and everyone celebrates the news. The students rush toward the nerd and hug him tightly, overjoyed. The principal reminds them that exams are around the corner and tells them to focus. The next day, Leo races again, and this time, he wins first place. He succeeds because his friends and the girl he loves were there cheering for him. They all run to him, hugging him with pride and excitement. The countdown to finals begins. With less than a month left, all the students give it their all, each striving to get into their dream university. They all do well in their exams. On the final day of school, the principal gives a heartfelt farewell. "I'm proud of you," she says. "I'll never forget you." Her words touch them deeply. They thank her for everything and celebrate their graduation. They head to their university entrance interviews with their families waiting outside for the results. They all succeed and get accepted into their dream schools. Their families are proud. After that, Leo takes Yun to the place where they first met. They reminisce about their journey together, all the beautiful moments they shared. Yun looks at him and says, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me in school. Thank you for always being by my side." She gathers her courage and finally confesses, "I love you. I'll never let you go again." Yun steps forward and embraces him herself. Leo is stunned. It feels like a dream. He confesses that he fell in love with her the first time he saw her. They agree to stay together through university, and once they graduate, to get married and live a happy life. And so their story ends with a beautiful, heartwarming, happy ending. Subscribe for more dramas like this one, tap the bell icon to get the updates, and don't forget to like the video. Thanks for watching.
The story begins with a boy named Park, who was shifting his house, and his friend Kyung was also there, helping him carry his belongings inside. When Park came out to get more stuff, Kyung began tossing boxes toward him. Park managed to catch 2 of them, and as Kyung threw the third one, another friend of Park named Kim caught it for him. While Kyung threw one of the boxes, it fell, and some of the belongings inside scattered on the road. Park got angry and started picking everything up. As Kyung took the remaining stuff inside, Park stayed behind to gather the scattered belongings. While doing so, he came across a drawing that he himself had made, although he could not recall when he had drawn it. Just as he was looking at the drawing, a girl appeared in front of him. The moment Park saw her, he froze in place, because she was extremely beautiful. Park instantly fell in love with her at first sight. That was when he realized he was standing in the middle of the road, so he moved aside and the girl walked away. The next morning, Park was still sleeping when he received a call from Kyung, who scolded him for being late on the first day of school. Upon hearing that, Park quickly woke up and shouted at his mom for not waking him. That was when he remembered that he no longer lived with his parents. He hurried to get ready and ran to the bus stop. At the bus stop, Kyung was already waiting. Just then, the bus arrived, and Park came running. Kyung saw him and requested the driver to wait for a moment. When Park reached the bus, he realized he had forgotten to bring his wallet. He asked Kyung to pay for his fare, but Kyung's card had no balance either. Park didn't even have any cash. He pleaded with the driver to let him ride for free, promising to pay double the next day. The driver refused, saying he had no guarantee Park would pay, and pointed out that someone was waiting behind Park. When Park turned around, he saw the same girl from the previous day standing there. Her name was Ruby, and she paid Park's fare. Then, he stood beside Kyung and remarked on how pretty she was. He also mentioned that he saw her the day before while carrying stuff into the house and felt like their meeting was fated. As the bus started moving, Park almost lost balance, but Kyung held him. However, while trying to steady himself, Park accidentally grabbed Ruby's collar. When he realized what he had done, he apologized profusely and felt extremely embarrassed. Kyung couldn't stop laughing at the scene. Later, at school, Park and Kim were in the same class, while Kyung was in a different one. When the period ended, Kim and Park went to meet Kyung in his class, where Kyung was asleep. Kim sat in front of him and burped, waking Kyung up because of the smell. Another friend of theirs, Min, who was in the same class, asked them why they had come when they had their own class. As the 4 of them were chatting, Park noticed that Ruby was in the same class and was looking directly at him. He felt even more embarrassed and rushed out. Ruby was sitting with 2 of her friends, Aram and Minji. When Park's friends learned what had happened in the bus, they all burst out laughing. Min teased him, saying he had done a legendary thing on the very first day. Park asked them not to talk nonsense and insisted it was just an accident. Kyung asked whether he thought Ruby felt the same way. That was when Park finally learned Ruby's name. He scolded Kyung for not telling him earlier that she was in his class. Kyung said he had been busy sleeping. Park told them how angry Ruby had looked at him during class, and then asked whether they truly didn't believe that their meeting was fate. He pointed out how they had kept crossing paths over the last 2 days, and how she had even paid his bus fare. He wondered aloud whether grabbing someone's collar could also be a sign of destiny. His friends began mocking him. Park urged them to listen, saying that romance between a boy and a girl always began because of some accident. He looked very happy while saying all this. Kyung told him to stop talking nonsense and said he didn't understand how Park could fall in love after seeing someone just once or twice. Park simply replied that it was destiny. Later, when Park and Kyung were walking around after school, Park spotted Ruby and started following her. He found out which building she lived in, and it turned out to be near his own house. Park declared that their homes being close was another sign of destiny. Kyung sarcastically pointed out that his own house was right across from hers and that she was in his class too. So should he consider their meeting destiny as well? Park responded that if he saw Ruby at sharp 8 at the bus stop the next morning, that would confirm destiny and Kyung would have to accept it. The next morning, Ruby arrived at the bus stop and Kyung and Park were already there. Park excitedly claimed that it was fate, since they met again. Kyung asked him not to talk rubbish, saying they had been standing there for half an hour already and were now running late for school because of him. Park proposed another test, that if Ruby bought the same drink as him at school, that would be the final proof of destiny. At school, Park was sitting with a drink when Ruby came to buy one, but she chose a different drink, making Kyung laugh. Park still insisted it was destiny, since at least both drinks were from the same company. Kyung told him to stop talking nonsense unless he wanted to get beaten up. Just then, Kim appeared with the exact same drink as Park's, which made Kyung laugh even more. After school, when Park and Kyung were standing at the gate, Park said that if Ruby came out wearing a skirt, it would be another sign of destiny. Kyung mocked him, saying he might as well say that if she was breathing, it meant she was his destiny. Eventually, Ruby came out, but she wasn't wearing a skirt, which made Park a little upset. At that moment, Kim arrived, and he had tied his tracksuit in such a way that it looked like a skirt. Jung burst out laughing and told Park that instead of dating Ruby, he should consider dating Kim, since maybe he was Park's true destiny. Park got angry and asked what he had ever done to deserve this. Kim, however, was completely clueless about why Park was reacting that way. Later, the three of them went to play games, but Park was so distracted that he couldn't focus, causing them to lose. He became quite upset. Kyung told him to stop going on about destiny and just go talk to Ruby if he really liked her. Park said his first impression had already been ruined, so how could he talk to her? Besides, he didn't even have a reason to approach her. Chang reminded him that she had paid his bus fare, and that could be the reason to start a conversation. Park admitted he had forgotten about that, and said Krung was right, and he would go right then. Young asked whether Park even knew which building she lived in, let alone her exact address. Realizing he didn't, Park sat back down. But the next day, when they were at the bus stop again, Park looked extremely nervous. Kyung teased him, reminding him that he had claimed it would be easy the day before. Park explained that the reason he was nervous was because Kyung was standing next to him. That was why, from the next day onward, Kyung should go to school without him. Kyung agreed and began to walk off, but Park stopped him. The following day, Park got ready for school early and stood waiting for Ruby. When she arrived, he tried to talk to her, but he couldn't manage to say a word. The next day, Park was once again following Ruby, though he didn't have the courage to talk to her. Ruby sensed someone was trailing her, but every time she turned around, she saw no one because Park kept hiding. On the third day, the same thing happened again. This time, Ruby was certain someone was behind her. When she turned back, Park quickly jumped into an alley out of fear. At school, Kyung sat next to Ruby and asked if Kyung set her up with a girl. Ruby refused and advised him not to be hasty. Minji, who was nearby, joined in and told Kyung to set her up instead. Kyung replied that he couldn't do that. At that point, Ruby mentioned that a boy was stalking her. Kyung asked whether she had seen his face. Ruby said she hadn't, but she noticed he had a bowl haircut, wore a red tracksuit that day, and was of average height. Upon hearing this, Kyung immediately realized who it was. He went to Park and told him that Ruby was talking about a stalker who had been following her every morning. Park became angry and asked who the jerk was, saying he would break his bones. He added that he himself followed her every day and never saw any stalker. Kyung called him an idiot and told him that Ruby was referring to him. She knew about the hairstyle, his outfit that day, and his height. At that very moment, Min walked in. He had the same haircut and height as Park. He tried to give his track to Min, but Minji looked at Park and shouted that he must be the stalker Ruby was talking about. Park tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding, that he wasn't a stalker and just followed her. Park insisted he had his reasons and simply wanted to return the bus fare money she once paid for him, but he couldn't bring himself to speak to her directly. Minji said she didn't believe that explanation and guessed that Park actually liked Ruby. Park denied it. Minji commented that he would never be able to tell Ruby anyway, so he should just give up. Park angrily asked why. Minji said it was because Ruby didn't like guys like him. Park asked what kind of guys Ruby liked. Minji responded that even she didn't know because Ruby never had a boyfriend, but she was certain Ruby wouldn't like someone like Park. Just then, Min turned to Park and asked whether giving him the tracksuit was part of a grand plan to make him look like the stalker. He cursed at Park and took the tracksuit back, saying he wouldn't return it. Kyung told Park that he hoped at least now he would talk to Ruby the next day. The following day, when Ruby was heading to school, Park began following her again. This time, Ruby noticed and started running. Park chased after her but tripped at a turning. He tried to escape, but Ruby caught him and asked who he was and why he had been following her. Park nervously explained that he only wanted to return the bus fare money she once paid for him. He also reminded her of the day he had accidentally grabbed her collar. Ruby said she now remembered, but she didn't think it was necessary to return the money. Park still handed her the money. He then introduced himself and asked her name. Ruby told him her name. Park mentioned that he lived nearby as well and asked if they could be friends. Ruby agreed, which made Park very happy. A flashback then showed what had happened 5 days earlier, when Park had written his feelings for Ruby on the money he planned to return to her. Back in the present, Park boarded a bus and saw Ruby using that same money to pay her bus fare, not even noticing the note written on it. Park felt crushed because she didn't read what he had written. The next day, Park got ready for school and thought it was better that Ruby didn't read the letter because it was too soon to confess. While Ruby was heading to school with Kyung and Park, Kyung tried to distract her while he and Park kept switching sides, trying to execute some secret plan. When they reached the bus stop, Park asked Ruby for her number. She agreed, and when she reached for his phone, he deliberately dropped it. As she bent down to pick it up, Park secretly placed candies in front of her and wished her a happy candy day. Earlier, he had also placed candies in her bag while they were walking, and he and Kyung were switching positions. Ruby didn't seem pleased at all. She returned his phone without giving her number and walked away. Park asked her why she didn't give her number, but the bus arrived and she got on. Kyung told him that he had warned him that the plan was stupid. At school, Ruby told her friends what Park had done. Minji said she already knew something like this would happen. Poor Park didn't even know that Ruby didn't like sweets at all. Ruby asked Minji how she knew Park. Minji nearly got caught but quickly covered it up. She told Park that Ruby was in a bad mood because of him. Park said not to worry, he would confess his feelings soon. Admin said this wasn't the right time because Ruby didn't want a boyfriend right now. When Park asked why, Minji was about to say something but stopped herself and said she didn't know. All she knew was that from today, Ruby was going to start ignoring him. Just then, Ruby arrived to buy a drink, so Minji quickly hid. Park tried to talk to Ruby, but she didn't say anything and walked away. The next morning, when Ruby was on her way to school, she found Park already waiting. He told her he had been standing there since morning. Park silently gestured that he liked her. Ruby responded with a gesture that meant she would kick him. Once again, Park asked for her number. She refused and walked off. All day at school, Park followed her around with a guitar, singing to her. Ruby eventually got so annoyed that she broke his guitar. Park faked a hand injury. Concerned, Ruby asked if he was okay and told him to show his hand. Park held out his hand and written on it were the words asking for her number. Ruby walked away and told Kyung to give her number to Park. Park quickly said not to do it. Kyung argued that whether she gave it or he did, it was the same thing. Park said it wasn't the same. Kyung then realized that no matter how hard Park tried, Ruby would never give her number directly to him. So even though Park protested, Kyung sent her number to him. He told Park to do whatever he wanted with it. Save it or delete it. Park became furious at Kyung because he had really wanted Ruby to give the number herself. Later, Park and Ruby bumped into each other again. Just as Park was about to speak, Ruby told him not to talk to her. Park gestured again, asking her to be his girlfriend. Ruby got angry and walked away, leaving Park feeling heartbroken. After school, Park sat alone in his classroom while it poured outside. Kyung entered and mentioned that Ruby forgot her umbrella, and since Ruby didn't have an umbrella, Park could offer to walk her home. Just then, Kim and Min entered too. Park asked Kyung to give him his umbrella. Kyung pointed out that one of Ruby's friends might already have one. Hearing that, Park once again felt disappointed. Kyung told him that since it was his idea, he should think of a solution now. Meanwhile, Ruby panicked, wondering how she would get home. Minji said she would take her, but when Minji checked her bag, she realized her umbrella was missing. She wondered where it had gone. Aram also discovered her umbrella was gone and became annoyed. As the three girls stood outside wondering what to do, Park arrived with an umbrella and tried to ask Ruby if she wanted to share it with him. Park told Ruby to take his umbrella, otherwise she would catch a cold, but Ruby refused, which made Park extremely angry. In frustration, he closed the umbrella and threw it in front of her, saying that he understood what she meant. He told her to go home with the umbrella and promised not to bother her again. As he turned to leave, Ruby picked up the umbrella and threw it back at him, saying she didn't want his umbrella either. Park didn't pick it up and instead followed her all the way to her building. At the building entrance, Ruby asked Park why he was still there and whether he didn't want to go home. Park replied that he was just staying there to avoid the rain because his umbrella was broken. The keypad of the building wasn't working and a keycard was required to enter, which Ruby didn't have because she lost it on the way. She had to wait outside for her sister, who was taking a long time to return from school. Ruby was completely drenched and started shivering. Her phone battery also died. Park suggested she come to his house to warm up and charge her phone. Ruby looked at him in shock and asked if he was crazy. She couldn't understand why she should go to his place. Park explained that he was only suggesting it because she might catch a cold. Ruby refused, said he was annoying, and told him to leave. Park got slightly angry and replied that he was leaving, and whether she got sick or not wasn't his concern anymore. While he walked away, Ruby stood outside, scared and freezing. Park came back, gave her his jacket and a towel, and said he was worried she would fall sick if she stayed like that. Ruby asked him if he wasn't cold. She stood there thinking for a moment, then agreed to go to his house. Just then a lady walked out of the building and the door opened. Park stopped it from closing and told Ruby to go in. She was surprised again, but walked in. As Park turned to leave, Ruby pulled him inside and asked him to wait with her for a while. She went to her apartment and brought a hoodie for Park to wear. He put it on, and Ruby said she would wash and return it. Then she gave him the umbrella and warned him not to catch a cold or she would kill him. Park was very happy. He was about to leave when Ruby's sister arrived and saw him. When she got home, she asked Ruby if that boy was her friend. Ruby acted indifferent, but her sister asked again, shocked that Ruby gave her hoodie to him. She scolded Ruby angrily. Later that night, Ruby woke up thirsty and went to the kitchen. When she opened the fridge, she imagined Park standing inside it and got scared. Then she went to watch TV, but again saw Park in every scene. She turned off the TV and tried to sleep, but Park appeared in her dreams too. Ruby was truly disturbed now. Morning, Ruby was on her way to school with her friends, and they were talking about what to wear for the upcoming retreat. Minji asked Ruby if she saw Park in her dreams. Park suddenly appeared and greeted everyone. He told Ruby that he saw her in his dreams and asked if she was curious to know what happened. Ruby told him she wasn't interested in his dreams. Park replied that it was fine, but he was happy to see her in his dream. They talked for a bit. In class, Minji asked Ruby if something happened between her and Park during the rain. Ruby denied it. Minji said it looked like something changed between them. Ruby asked why they were saying that. Aram pointed out that just a few days ago, Ruby used to ignore Park, but now she was actually responding to him. Ruby got irritated and asked why they were trying to set her up with Park. Minji said it was because she looked happy with him and was treating him well. Ruby snapped and said Park was a good guy, so why should she not treat him well? Aram teasingly asked if that meant there was still a chance she could date him. At that moment, Kyung interrupted by pretending to be asleep, but he had heard the entire conversation. The three girls realized this and Kyung quietly left the classroom. Later, Park was practicing with Kim when Kyung showed up and asked what they were doing. Min explained that they were preparing for the talent show where only 3 member groups were allowed to perform. Park wanted to use this performance to impress Ruby. He asked Kyung to join their group, but Kyung refused. Park emotionally blackmailed him, asking if he wasn't his friend, and eventually convinced him. That night, Ruby was chatting with Minji, who asked what she would wear for the retreat. Ruby said she hadn't decided yet. She went to check her wardrobe and saw Park's jacket, which he had kept. She thought of returning it, but worried Park might misunderstand and assume she had feelings for him, or that he might propose. So instead, she gave the address to her sister and asked her to return the jacket. At Park's house, he and his friends were practicing. Park told them that he planned to confess his feelings to Ruby during the talent show. His friends told him not to rush things. But Park insisted that something had changed between them during that rainy day. Kong then said he didn't want to tell Park earlier, but now he felt he should. He revealed that Ruby had told her friends in class that she had 0 feelings for Park. Park felt upset, but said he didn't believe it. He thought Ruby was just hiding her feelings. Kyun was amazed at his optimism. Suddenly, Park got a message from Ruby saying she was outside his house. He got excited and told his friends. But when he went outside, he saw that it wasn't Ruby but her sister returning the jacket. Park felt disappointed. He also found out that the hoodie Ruby gave him belonged to her sister, which upset him further. When he came back inside, his friends had already figured out what happened and began teasing him. Park returned the hoodie and Ruby's sister left. When she got home, she asked Ruby if Park was really just a friend. She said it was clear Park liked her, but she didn't think Ruby would ever date him, and she felt bad for him. The next day, all the students left for the retreat. Park gave Ruby some peanuts for the bus ride and she accepted them. At the retreat, Ruby told Minji that she forgot her face wash. Minji offered hers, but Ruby said her skin was very sensitive and she couldn't use any other brand. Later, when everyone settled into their rooms, the teacher said they would do another head count. Aram explained it was because one student was missing, probably Park, since Kyung had been asking about him. When they gathered for lunch, Kyung asked if anyone knew where Park went, but no one knew. He kept calling Park, but his phone wasn't reachable. Ruby was also worried. Shortly after, Park returned, escorted by the garden staff. Ruby felt relieved. Since Park went out without permission, the teacher scolded him and gave him a punishment. Later, when Ruby returned to her room, her roommate gave her a face wash, saying the boy with the bowl haircut sent it for her. After finishing his punishment, Park was in pain. Ruby came to him with a drink and told him not to do anything like this again, because she doesn't like it. She asked if he had eaten, to which Park lied and said he hadn't, even though rice was stuck on his face. Ruby noticed it and gently wiped it off and walked away from Park once again, and by doing that his happiness doubled. While washing her face, Ruby smiled while thinking about Park. The next day, all the students were made to do a lot of exercises, but Park seemed to be enjoying it thoroughly. While doing exercises, he even practiced a few dance steps. After lunch, while everyone was resting, Park walked in with rice stuck to his face. Kim noticed it and wiped it off, which made Park furious. Grabbing Kim by the collar, he questioned how she dared to remove it and asked why she interfered. Kim, confused, asked him what was wrong and why he was getting so angry. Without saying much, Park took some rice out of his pocket and stuck it back on his face before leaving. Ruby was sitting with her friends when Park came and asked her to remove the rice from his face. Ruby held his head gently, and Aram wiped it off with her kick. Later, all the students were participating in a camp activity where they had to cross a water stream. Young followed behind Minji and started troubling her. She almost slipped and fell into the water, but Kyung quickly held her hand. This made Minji's heartbeat speed up. Just then, Aram arrived and angrily slapped Kyung hard, causing him to fall into the water. Because of the slap, Kyung got injured. Park became very worried because Kyung was supposed to perform with him in the talent show that night, which now seemed impossible. So Park decided to have Min replace Kyung and made him practice intensely since the talent show was only a few hours away. That night, the talent show began and many students had participated. One by one, all the participants began performing. The audience was full of students who had come to cheer. Min and Kim were both very nervous. Min, in fact, was so nervous that he said he wouldn't be able to perform. At that moment, Kyung appeared and calmly told Min that he would perform in his place. Park reminded him that he was injured and asked how he would manage. Kyung confidently said it would only take 2 minutes and he would be fine. When their turn to perform came, they walked on stage, surprising Ruby, who had no idea they were going to perform. As soon as they started dancing, the entire crowd began cheering because the performance was so good. Ruby was amazed to see Park dance so well since she had no idea he could dance like that. After their dance performance ended, Park sang a song through which he indirectly confessed his feelings. When the performance ended, the announcer commented that it was obvious the song was meant for a girl sitting in the audience. He asked that girl to come up on stage. Though Ruby didn't want to, her friends pushed her onto the stage. He asked Ruby how long she had been dating her boyfriend. Ruby replied that he wasn't her boyfriend. The announcer then asked what kind of relationship they had. Taking the mic from him, Park gently placed Ruby's hand in his own and said that this meant today was the first day of their relationship. The crowd began chanting for them to hug each other. Park walked up to Ruby and asked if she'd allow it. Then, without actually touching her, he hugged her, which made all the students laugh. Ruby felt extremely embarrassed and didn't like what Park had done at all. She got angry and walked away, leaving Park very sad. The retreat ended and all the students were preparing to return. Everyone was taking lots of pictures together. Minji asked Kyung about his legs, to which he asked why she was concerned. Minji said that since he danced the previous night, she was worried that his injury might have worsened. Kyung asked why she cared so much. Did she like him? Minji denied it and told him not to talk nonsense. Because of what happened the previous night, Ruby's mood hadn't improved. Other students whispered about her, saying she was the same girl who rejected a guy's feelings in front of everyone. These comments worsened her mood even more. As she was about to board the bus, Park came to offer her a drink, but she refused. Several days passed. Park was sitting in the canteen with his friends, visibly upset. He shared that since returning from the retreat, Ruby had not spoken to him. Whenever he tried approaching her, she ignored him and walked away. Park asked his friends if they thought what he did during the talent show was wrong. Tim replied that he didn't think so. Min added that while Park was performing the song for Ruby, it looked like she would not have refused if he had asked her out. They also pointed out that Park's silly attempt at hugging ruined everything. Meanwhile, Ruby was sitting with her friends, including a classmate named Hari. Harry told Ruby to stop pretending that she didn't like Park. She said that she had seen how lovingly Ruby had wiped the rice off Park's face during the retreat. Hearing this shocked Ruby's friends. They said she probably shouldn't have done that. Park must have misunderstood. Park was passing by and overheard this conversation from outside the room. He stood by the door and listened. Ruby's friends asked her why, if she didn't like Park, she was being so nice to him. Why hadn't she clearly rejected him? Ruby said it was because she felt too old for him. Hearing this, Park was devastated. Just then, Arem opened the door to leave and saw Park standing there. Park pretended like he didn't hear anything and quickly walked away. Later, during class, Park was unable to focus. In his mind, he thought he finally understood everything, as why she paid his bus fare, why she gave him the hoodie that rainy day, and why she removed the rice from his face. She did all of it out of pity. He was unable to pay attention in class. The teacher told him to stand at the back. Park asked the teacher if he too pitied him, which was why he gave such a light punishment. This made the teacher angry, and he gave Park a real punishment, which Park completed with much difficulty. After school, Ruby was walking with her friends when she saw Park walking away without speaking to them, which was very unusual. He had never left without talking to her before. They guessed that Park probably heard Ruby say she felt too old for him. That's why he was behaving like this now. Aram asked Ruby what she was going to do about it because she seemed to have hurt his feelings, but Ruby said nothing and walked away. That night, Ruby went to a store to buy some stuff and unexpectedly ran into Park. She tried to talk to him, but Park told her he didn't want to talk and asked her to stop pitying him from that day onward. When Ruby returned home, her sister informed her that the performance Park had done at the retreat was recorded and uploaded to YouTube by someone. The video was going viral quickly. This deeply disturbed Ruby. She messaged her friends to tell them about it. Her friends said that whoever uploaded the video was definitely someone from their school, and that they would find out who it was so they could request him to take it down. The next day, Park was sitting in his class when a girl named Nish came up to him. She told him that she saw him on YouTube and said that he was quite a good gate, though Park didn't understand what she meant by that. She asked him for his phone, and when he asked why, she told him her phone was lost and asked if she could use his. Park handed her the phone, unaware that her phone was not actually lost. She used his phone to call her own number and saved her contact in it. Just then, Kyung entered the class and greeted Park, who asked him if he greeted him out of pity. Kim didn't understand what Park was trying to say. Later, when Park was in the canteen getting lunch, the lady serving food gave him a slightly larger portion. Park asked her if she too pitied him, which shocked Kim and made him wonder what was wrong with Park. Back in class, Min came to return Park's notes. Park said Min must be returning them out of sympathy. Min replied if he is high, since those were Park's own notes. Park responded by asking why Min was looking at him with such pity. Kyung then came and told Park that someone uploaded a video of him on YouTube, and Ruby went to talk to that kid to get it removed. Kyung asked Park if he would go too, since he was also in the video, but Park replied that there was no point, as he considered himself a pathetic guy who couldn't do anything. Kyung reminded Park that he once fetched Ruby's face wash without her permission. Park said that was a different matter, and now he realized that Ruby only felt pity for him. Park continued to call himself a pathetic guy again and again, which made Kim lose his temper. Kim shouted at him to stop saying that, saying it was messing with his head. As they all got up to leave, Park said they were leaving him because he was pathetic. Kyung angrily said that Park would never improve. Meanwhile, Ruby and her friends went to meet the boy who uploaded the video. Ruby requested him to delete the video from YouTube, but the boy bluntly refused. Ruby warned him that if he didn't remove the video, she would report it to YouTube and ask them to delete not just the video, but his entire channel. The boy got scared and agreed to delete it. After school, while the boy was walking home, Park approached him and asked again if he would delete the video. The boy said yes. Park then asked if he was doing it because he felt sorry for him, which confused the boy. Later, Ruby and her friends were at a restaurant and Ruby looked upset. They found out the boy deleted the video. The next morning, Kyung was repeatedly calling Park, but Park wasn't answering. Kyung called Ruby and asked if she saw Park. He told her that since the previous day, Park had been acting strangely and was not answering his calls, and he was genuinely worried. Since Ruby's house was nearby, he asked if she could go check on him, but Ruby refused. Still, his words stayed with her and made her concerned. Ruby decided to check on Park. When Park stepped out to go to the store and saw Ruby coming toward him, he tried to run away, but Ruby chased him and caught him. She asked why he was running away from her. Park asked why she was following him and why she couldn't leave a pathetic guy like him alone. Ruby got angry and told him to stop saying nonsense. She insisted she didn't pity him and that he wasn't pathetic. When Park felt hungry, Ruby took him to a restaurant and ordered food for him. When Park didn't eat, Ruby said that feeding him didn't mean she pitied him, and he should think of it as repayment for when he brought her face wash. Hearing that, Park started eating. Ruby explained that what she said the other day didn't mean she pitied him, and she even apologized. Park also apologized for making her feel uncomfortable during the talent show. Ruby told him that he had danced and sung really well. Park became very happy. Everything was clear between them again, and Park started talking to her nicely. The next day, Park was with his friends at school, practicing how to confess his feelings to Ruby. Kyun teased him, asking why he was rehearsing, since if Ruby liked him, even a messy confession would work. But Kyun also said he didn't think Ruby liked Park. Park said he was sure she did. He felt that Ruby looked tough outside, but was soft on the inside. While Park was talking to his friends, Nish suddenly arrived. She asked why Park wasn't answering her calls and dragged him away, leaving his friends shocked. They couldn't understand who the girl was. Later, Ruby was sitting with her friends when Minji mentioned that Saturday was Rose Day, and she was sure Park would do something. As they walked to class, Ruby saw Park with another girl and felt a little jealous, although she didn't show it. When Park saw her, he rushed to talk, but Ruby didn't look pleased. In class, Kyung told Ruby's friends that the girl with Park was Nish from the architecture department, but he didn't know much more. Minji said she couldn't believe Park liked Ruby but was roaming around with another girl. Kyung replied that Nish approached Park herself. What could he do? He also asked why anyone would have a problem if Park was with a girl. Did they have a problem seeing them together? Aram replied that they didn't, but Ruby did. Kyung asked Ruby if it bothered her and added that she wasn't dating Park anyway. Ruby replied she didn't care. Kyung told the others to stop interfering. He said Nish told him that Park mattered a lot to her, so if someone likes him, why shouldn't he accept her? Kyung was trying to make Ruby jealous, but she pretended not to care. Meanwhile, in class, Nish kept texting Park, which annoyed him, so he switched off his phone. During break, Park approached Ruby and asked what her plans were for Saturday. She replied she would be at home. Park asked why and said he would be free that day so they could meet. Ruby told him she would be busy at home. At that moment, Nish called Park again, and Ruby noticed. She asked if it was the same girl, and Park admitted it. Just then, Nish said she would be free Saturday and wanted to go out. Park told her he would be very busy. Ruby commented sarcastically that it looked like he needed to talk to Nish and returned to class. Park followed her, and Nish didn't like that. In class, Park asked if Ruby was really busy on Saturday. She replied she was free. Park became happy, but then Ruby said he was probably not free since he would be busy with Nish. Park was shocked and asked who told her that. Ruby replied it was obvious. Park insisted there was nothing between him and Nish. Ruby said Nish liked him, so he should date her. Park said if that's the case, he liked Ruby, so she should date him. He asked what she thought. Ruby told him to stop talking nonsense, as the teacher was about to come, and told him to return to his class. Park said he wouldn't go until she answered when she would date him. Before the teacher could enter, Park ran off. After school, while Ruby was walking with her friends, she bumped into Nish, who said she wanted to talk. They went to a cafe. Nish directly told Ruby that since she wasn't going to date Park, she should reject him clearly. Ruby texted Park saying she didn't like him and was rejecting him. She showed the message to Nish and asked if she was satisfied now. Park replied that he'd rejected her rejection, that he would keep liking her, and that there was nothing going on between him and the other girl, so she shouldn't be under any misunderstanding. Seeing this, Nish got angry. Ruby stood up to leave. Nish accused her of not wanting to keep him and not letting him go either. She asked what Ruby really wanted, but Ruby didn't answer and walked away. That night, all of Park's friends came to his house. Since Saturday was the next day and Park planned to confess his feelings to Ruby, they all discussed and made plans for how he would do it. The next day, Ruby was at a cafe with her friends when she received a photo of Park's apartment with a message that there was a fire there. She panicked and rushed there, only to find that there was no fire. Suddenly, she saw Park standing in front of her with flowers. Park said that the building was just a little on fire and that it was not her apartment, so he apologized for lying to her. He confessed his feelings, to which Ruby agreed. Hearing this, Park became very happy and asked if she was serious. Ruby then said she was lying, as now he should understand how it feels to be lied to. As Ruby was leaving, Park said he really liked her and suggested they go on a date. Ruby told him she would message her answer at night and then left. That night, Park sat at home nervous and thinking about what answer Ruby would give. His friends were also there to know what Ruby's answer would be. Meanwhile, Kim, Min, and others discussed how Ruby might reject Park. Hearing this, Park got very angry and asked how a friend could say such things. Suddenly, Park received a message and happily went to check it. But it was from Kim trying to trouble him, which made Park even angrier, and he grabbed Kim by the throat. Just then another message came to Park, but he was scared to read, so he told Kyung to see what's there in the text. Kyung told him that Ruby said she would give her answer next week. This made Park furious and he started to lash out, blaming Kim's jinx words. Min and Kim also came and started hitting him. When Park checked the messages himself, he found out that Ruby said yes, meaning she would date him. This made Park extremely happy. Ruby messaged her friends telling them she would date Park, which shocked them, but they were happy for her. The next day, Park was so excited to meet Ruby that he could not sleep. At school, Park sat beside Ruby. He started calling her honey, but Ruby told him not to call her that. Park asked if he could hold her hand, but Ruby refused, so Park rested his hands on her shoulders in the bus. Kyung was in the bus too, and he could not see him acting cringe every day, so from the next day he would go to school alone. At school, Kim and Min discussed how they would pass their exams since none of them were good students and the exams were coming soon. Park sat in Ruby's class right in front of her. Ruby was playing a game on her phone and Park was watching her. Ruby told him to stop staring, and Park said that no matter how much he looked, he never got tired of it. Again, Park asked if he could hold her hand, but Ruby refused. Park said that since they were dating, why could they not hold hands? Ruby asked if holding hands was necessary just because they were dating. Park agreed but said they could still go on dates. Ruby tore up a paper where Park had written all their planned dates and said, "Who goes on dates every day, especially with exams coming next week?" Seeing this, Ruby's friends thought Park was really serious about her. Park said since he was late, they would go on dates after exams, but Ruby replied they would see about that when the time came, which upset Park a little. After school, while Park was about to go home with his friends, he told them he and Ruby were dating, but nothing had changed between them, which upset him. Then he saw Ruby going home and approached her. He told Ruby that since he was not very good at studying, he planned to go to the library to prepare well for exams, and asked if she wanted to join. Indirectly, he asked his friends for help to convince Ruby, and they succeeded. Later, they were studying in the library, but Park was more focused on Ruby than on studying. Park pretended to be sleepy while studying, and tried to rest his head on Ruby's shoulder, but she moved away. When he looked at her again, she told him to stop looking at her and focus on studies. Park said he was actually studying her. Ruby told him to stop talking nonsense and pay attention to books. Then Ruby noticed that neither her friends nor Park's friends were in the library, because they had all gone outside so Ruby and Park could spend some time alone. Park wanted to show Ruby a webtoon, but she refused to watch it. Park said that since they started dating, she had become very cold-hearted. Ruby replied that she had always been like that and asked why he did not like her behavior. Park promised to make her very cute. Ruby told him not to dream because it would never happen. Park said he would treat her well and make her heart go crazy. Ruby asked if he really liked her so much, and Park said yes, he liked her a lot. Ruby asked how long he would keep liking her, to which Park replied he would like her for life. Ruby told him not to answer so quickly because feelings often change. Park said he would not change and his feelings would never change, which made Ruby laugh. Then she went to buy a drink and Park followed her. Park bought the drink and after seeing Ruby, walked away, and her friends asked Ruby how the library date was. Ruby told them not to talk nonsense like Park. The drink Park gave Ruby was handed over to Aram, but Aram refused to take it, asking why she should if she did not like Park. Aram said if Ruby did not like Park, she should break up with him, but Ruby said it was not that she did not like Park. Aram asked what was going on, but Ruby did not answer, which made it clear she was hiding something. A week passed, exams happened, and only the kids who did not want to study came to school, so their exams were very bad. After the exam, Park came to Ruby and said their exams were over, so let's go on a date. Ruby said she was going to a karaoke room with her friends, so she could not go on a date with him. Park said that was okay and he would go with them. Ruby agreed, and her friends agreed too. They all went to the karaoke room where Kyung was also present. Everyone was singing and dancing and having a lot of fun. Kyung always kept one eye hidden behind her hair, so Minji got curious about why he did that, and she decided to find out the truth. And she did silly things to see Kyung's eyes. Kyung understood what Minji wanted to do, and when he went outside, Minji followed him, which made her angry, but then he fulfilled Minji's wish by removing his hair and showing his face to Minji. She immediately got scared by what she saw on his face.